We are going to, we're not going to speak about an Indian that has to touch the court at all. We're not even going to try to squeeze it in somehow. But we're going to speak about an Indian that is of current interest. And an Indian that many of you I'm sure have given the matter some thought. And that is, we're going to speak about the status of the Ethiopian Jews in Halacha. As all of you I'm sure are aware, over the last few weeks, there has been a miraculous effort on the part of the State of Israel to literally pluck from the jaws of danger about what was it, 18,000, how many? 14,000 Jews who were on perhaps the brink of annihilation. It's ironic for me personally. On when was it? It was April 30th. Dr. Malcolm Hoenlein, who is the executive vice president of the Council of Presidents of Major Jewish Organizations, happened to be in my house, and he's a man that's involved in these type of negotiations, a person who's well known to President Bush and everybody under him. And he was in my house, and I asked him, what's going on? So he had told me at that time that there's this crisis with the Ethiopian Jews, that the Eritrean rebels are moving on the capital, that there are Jews who are stuck in Addis Ababa who are going to be annihilated, and that the most delicate of negotiations are going on behind the scenes in order to get these Jews out of Ethiopia. And they sent a hand-picked emissary to President Bush. They had to, this is coordinated with the government of Israel and the government of the United States, and he had told me that they have to get the right fellow to go into Bush and to ask him to cooperate. They wanted someone who was going to be sympathetic to the Jewish plight. They didn't want someone who was going to go in there and say, well, once I have President Bush for 15 minutes, then, well, my company needs so-and-so. They wanted a person who's going to do the job, and that's all he's going to do. And the person that they finally came up with was Rudy Boschwitz, who's the former senator from Minnesota, who happens to be a Republican. And he was telling me about all these behind-the-scenes negotiations, that the planes literally are on the tarmac in Israel, and they're waiting for the green light, and he didn't know whether it was going to come up, whether it was not going to come up. This was on April 30th. Then I happened to know that because it was the day before we made a bar mitzvah, so I don't have such a great memory. Then I remember on May 24th, which was a Friday, I happened to be driving on 795, and at the 3 o'clock news at the top of the hour, they announced that Israel had was in the midst of rescuing these 15,000 Jews from Ethiopia. And I said, that story that I had heard some 25 days before finally came to mind. And that Shabbos, May 25th, the headlines of the paper was that morning, Israel pulls off this miraculous rescue. That's, you read the headlines, but you don't know all the effort and the tircha and the yigia, and of course the siyat and shmaya that's involved in effecting such a rescue. But, so now you have, together with the Ethiopian Jews who came there a number of years ago, you have another 15,000 people who claim to be Jewish, but as we all know, do not look certainly as what the typical Jew looks like, and certainly have a different type of Yiddishkeit in terms of their customs and halachas that we're used to. And this once again brings up a very old shiloh. And when I say an old shiloh, I don't mean a shiloh that goes back 200 or 300 years. I'm talking about a shiloh that goes back a couple thousand years. A very old shiloh as to what exactly are the status of these people. Who are they? How did they get, of all places, to Ethiopia? Are they Jewish or are they not Jewish? And all the halachic problems involved. That's what we're going to speak about tonight. Most of what I'm going to say tonight is taken from the compendium Truman, an article written by Menachem Goldman. And And he brings a lot of very important sources on the subject, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Of course, it is not our task over here to paskin these shalos lahalacha l'maisa, but at least you're going to hear the background involved and what's involved in coming to some kind of halacha conclusion as to the status of Ethiopian Jews. There was a fellow who lived in the 9th century, and his name was Eldad Hadani. Now, before we get into the controversy of the veracity and the reliability of Eldad Hadani, but Eldad Hadani was a mechaber svarim and a chronicler, it seems, of his times, and he lived, as I say, in the 9th century. So among the things that Eldad Hadani writes, he writes as follows: that he happened to meet up with with people who were living in Ethiopia. And he writes the following, that these people told him, Yesh lanu Kabbalah ish mipi ish anachnu b'nei Dan. The Ethiopian Jews told him, this is in the 9th century, that they have a Kabbalah, they have a tradition, ish mipi ish. Everyone heard from their father, who heard from their father, who heard from their father, all the way back, that these people who live in Ethiopia, Eretz Kush, Chavash as it's referred to, go back all the way to Shevet Dan. How did they wind up in Ethiopia of all places? When there was the story which we're all familiar with in Tanakh, when there was the split in the Melucha, when Yerovam ben Nevat opposed the kingdom of Rechavam, and there was a split in the Commonwealth of Israel, that they split up into two halves. The southern half being Yehuda and Binyamin, whose their melech was the descendant of David Melech Israel, and the 10 tribes who occupied the north, who followed Yerovam ben Nevat. And Yerovam ben Nevat, as many of you I'm sure know, was a terrible Rasha. He's referred to in the Gemara as a Chaytu Matas Israel. He wanted, in order to have, he built in effect his own Beis Hamikdash. He couldn't compete with Yerushalayim. So if you can't compete, so what do? You have to build your own show. So these people from Shevet Dan, rather than put up with the heresy of Yerovam ben Nevat, decided we're going to leave Eretz Yisrael, which they did. Amru lama anachnu nilchamim nachenu v'im b'nei adinenu David Melech Yisrael chalila v'chalila v'lasef nas l'eitza leilach v'mitzrayim. They decided to go back to Egypt, not to settle in Egypt, which you're familiar again that there is a prohibition against settling in Egypt, and far be it from them to settle in Egypt. But what did they do? But they went through Egypt, they traversed Egypt in order to get Keilelech Lavo L'Nahar Pishon L'Eretz Kush. They went the Dafka to go, their end destination was Ethiopia, East Eretz Kush. Umotzana Osa Eretz Taiva Vishmeina Basaris Ukomim Ginais Upardesim. And they lived happily ever after. Well, not almost happily ever after. They found great land in Eretz Kush, and that's where they remained. So Eldad Hadani says over in the name of the people, of these people, that they are descendants from not the 10 tribes, but specifically one of the 10 tribes, which is Shevet Dan, and their motivation for going to Ethiopia in the first place is to get out of Malchus Yisrael, which was under the leadership of Yerovam ben Nevat to Russia. That's how they wound up in Ethiopia. That's what Eldad Hadani writes. Now, first question is, can you trust Eldad Hadani? Well, according to Rav Tzemach Gaon, who was one of the Gaonim that lived in the 8th and 9th century, according to Rav Tzemach Gaon, you can in fact trust Eldad Hadani. He is a reliable person, and he doesn't make things up, and what he says has truth to it. And according to Rav Tzemach Gaon, Eldad Hadani is reliable, which means if Eldad Hadani is reliable, the Ethiopian Jews in fact do stem from Shevet Dan. And there are other very notable Rishonim, Rabbi Avram ben Harambam, who mention the svarim of Eldad Hadani, not specifically in this case of the Ethiopian Jewish matter, but in general they quote from Eldad Hadani, and he is a reliable source according to them. On the other hand, Ezra, also Rishon, commentator on Chumash, writes in his Perish on Chumash in Sefer Shmos, Perach Beis Pasuk Chaf Beis, Klal Oimar Lacha, Kol Sefer Shaloi Kazvuhu Neviim Eichachomim Mipi HaKabbalah Ein Lismech Aleim. The Ibn Ezra says, as a general rule, you can only trust Svar that were either written by the Nevi'im or that were written by Chachamim who go back, who can trace the Messiah Ishmi Pish into reliable sources. But just because somebody goes ahead and writes a nice sefer in Hebrew, that doesn't mean you can necessarily trust him. And among the Svar that the Ibn Ezra says that we don't necessarily trust, the Ibn Ezra says, the Kocha Sefer Zilu Bavel, the Gam Sefer, Eldad Hadani, V'Hadain Elahem. So Ibn Ezra apparently had problems with how far you could rely on Eldad Hadani. So that's the first question mark that hovers over Ethiopian Jews. If you trust Eldad Hadani, they are in fact from Shevet Dan. But if you can't trust Eldad Hadani, we really don't know yet.
Reported what he heard. At that.
True, okay. That's correct. Mr. Simon is pointing out that Eldad Hadani was going on hearsay evidence. That's the trouble when you have lawyers in your crowd. But can you even trust them on the hearsay evidence? And according to those posting, you can. According to Ibn Ezra, you can't even trust that, perhaps. We have a more well-known figure who also comments about the Ethiopian Jewry, and that is the Rabbeinu Ovadia Mibar Tanura. We all know the Rabbeinu Ovadia Mibar Tanura, who is the premier commentator on the Mishnayos. And the Rabbeinu Ovadia Mibar Tanura traveled from Italy, where he was from, and he went up to Eretz Yisrael, and he was in fact Mikbar in Eretz Yisrael. You can go to the Kever of the Rabbeinu Ovadia Mibar Tanura. So apparently Rabbeinu Ovadia Mibar Tanura wrote back letters as to what he discovered when he was in Eretz Yisrael. And Rabbeinu Ovadia writes that I met these people who are from Ethiopia, and he says they are Mibnei Yisrael. And he writes, Ani Reisi Shnayim Mehem B'Mitzrayim. I saw two of these people who claim to be from Ethiopia, or were from Ethiopia, who claim to be Jewish. And he writes over here, V'hem Shchayrim Ma'at, which means they're slightly black. Avaloi Kibnei Kushim, which means they're not like regular Ethiopians, they're dark-skinned, I guess that's what he meant. And he writes, the Rabbeinu Ovadia throws in the second suffix about these people, and that is, I don't know what brand of Judaism they believed in. Because many of you are familiar with what's called the Karaim. The Karaim, known in English as the Karaites, were a sect of Jews who only believed in the Torah Shebechsav. They only believed in the written law. They did not believe at all in Torah Shebal Peh. And it seems that Rabbeinu Ovadia writes that these people who are from Ethiopia, who claim to be descendants of Shevet Dan, in fact, their Judaism is the same type of Judaism as the Karaim, as the Karaites. And he continues, Ki gritzas dvarim dirim keim shevet Torah Karaim. For instance, these Ethiopian Jews had no fire in their house burning all of Shabbos. Why? Because it's a Beferish Pasuk in the Torah. The Torah says, it says in the Holy Book you can't have fire in your house on the Sabbath day. That means no fire, no lights, no cholent, no nothing. In other areas he writes, so the Rabbeinu Ovadia in effect said the same story that Eldad Hadani said. That they were these people that claimed to be descendants of Shevet Dan, but the Rabbeinu Ovadia points out that their Judaism is a strange brand of Judaism. It's what we can call, what's referred to as Mosaic Judaism. Mosaic Judaism being Torah Moshe, what we saw in the Chamisha Kumsei, but not beyond that. So he doesn't know exactly who they are, but he does, in fact, state basically the same story as Eldad Hadani. Okay, now let's move on. Rabbeinu Avadi Bartanura lived in the 15th century. Now let's go another century. And we go to the Chivas HaRabaz. The Rabaz lived in the 16th century. The Rabaz whose name was Rabbeinu David ben Zimra, and the Rabaz who was a prolific writer. He wrote the Chuvas HaRabaz that literally has thousands of chuvas. He also wrote a commentary on the Rambam. He was a Rav in Mitzrayim, and he was asked what is, at least what we can see through the first Shaila Lahalacha that had to do with the Ethiopian Jews. What was the Shaila that was posed to the Rabaz? And I want you to bear in mind over here that we're going to quote a number of things from the Rabaz. And we're going to see within the Chuvas HaRabaz from Chiluk Dalet to Chiluk Zayin that the Rabaz over here goes through sort of a change, an evolution, the opinion that he writes evolves over the course of the different Chuvas that he authored. The first Shaila that he was asked was the following Shaila. Maisa Haya B'Isha Kushis Me'eretz Kush. There was a woman, an Ethiopian woman, Shenizbiz Lishnei Banei Ima. A woman was captured. She was captured and she was shipped together with her two children to Egypt. And you know what she was shipped there for? She was shipped there as a slave. There seems to have been a burgeoning slave market in Egypt, and they used to get, this is an old trick apparently, they used to get the slaves from Africa. So, and we all know that in Egypt there was a large Jewish community. This guy goes ahead and he buys a woman, a slave, and her two sons. Slave market. This woman says that she was married, she had a husband living there in Ethiopia. She says she's Jewish. She says that her village was attacked. There was a slaughter. Most of the men were massacred. They went ahead and caught the women and the children, and they sent them off to Egypt to be sold. So she claims that she claims her husband to be dead. Well, from what she knows, she didn't see him actually dead, but it was a massacre. You know what happens in these type of situations. She claims her husband to be dead, and therefore she's no longer married. In the meantime, Ruvain bought her. Ruvain was the slave owner who purchased her in Egypt, and it seems that Ruvain and his slave woman had an illicit affair. And she became pregnant, and she had a baby who now grew up to be a fine young man, and now he wants to get married. But the shaila that was posed to the Rabaz is that this child may be a mamzer. Because since we never had any proof positive that this woman's husband was indeed killed, therefore this woman perhaps is an Eishes. The slave owner, Ruvain, who had relations with her and produced this child, may have in fact had relations with an Eishes. Therefore this child is a mamzer, and therefore this child can't get married. So that was the shaila that was asked to the Rabaz. The God of the Hareinu wrote to Lakachas Yisha Mikal Yisrael, the Lord of them shalt and many who Roy Lord Mikal Lamata Kanasai. That was the first encounter that the Rabaz had about Ethiopian Jews. So the Rabaz, in the course of his tshuva, writes that they hold themselves to be Yisraelim Yishevet Don. They hold themselves to be descendants of Shevet Don. Again, the same story as Elder Adoni, the same story as the Rabbeinu Avadia Mibartanura, who Kifi Hanira Hein Mikat Soduk Ubaises Hanikroim Karoim. But the Rabaz writes that they seem to be Karoim. They seem to be Karaites. And therefore, when I get to the end of the tshuva in a minute, but that was his initial response to them. They are Jews, they are Karoyim, and if in fact they are Jews, and therefore this woman is possibly an Ashes Ish, this is really a sincere shaila of a mamzer. In other words, what the Radbaz in effect saying is that if this woman was not Jewish, there would be no problem. If she's not Jewish, the child's not a mamzer. But if in fact she's Jewish, and she says she's Jewish, and we have no proof positive that her husband died, then we're dealing over here with the Suffolk mamzer. But in the midst of the shaila, the Radbaz already told us his opinion is that they are in fact Jewish, and that they are like Karoim, they're Karites, and they're not really Shemei Torah mitzvahs. That was this shaila is written in the Jewish Radbaz Chelik Dalet, the fourth Chelik. In Chelik Zion, the Radbaz was asked another shaila. Another totally different shaila. But in the new shaila and the response that Radbaz gave, we see a change in the Radbaz's opinion. What was the shaila in Chelik Zion? The shaila in Chelik Zion was as follows. Another guy went one day to the slave market in Egypt, bought himself a black slave, and brought him home. One fine day, this black slave tells him, you know what? I'm Jewish. I'm a Yisrael, I'm from Shevet Dawn, the whole story all over again. So this guy, the slave owner, says, this is what I've been waiting for all my life. A shaila from Evan Ivri. Here you learn Parshas Mishpatim all these years. You live in the Sechta Kibbutz, and there, right over there, in his living room is an Evan Ivri. So he asked the Radbaz the shaila, is he yoytei b'sheish on him? That was the shaila that he asked the Radbaz. שאלתו ממני הודיעך דייתי מי שקונה עבד חשים יסר היהודים איך ישנאי מן יצא בשש אלוהי. So the Radbaz responded and he said, you know what, Reb Yid, slave owner? You don't own a slave. Because what you have in effect done, Zok the Radbaz, is you've been paid a shmuyim. This is pidyon shmuyim. You went ahead and had a Jew who was captured, and you went and you bought him? Two skill and mitzvahs. Here this guy thinks he's going to have free labor for who knows how long. He thinks he has a solid evidence. No, that's a mishkan. You know, pay the shmuyim. The guy goes out scot-free. The Rabbah says, all of us should have because Zeshek on Evan Kivitz in his violation of Yehudi, ain't our pidyon shmuyim. But the Radbaz goes ahead, and he says, wait a minute, the Radbaz says. There's no pidyon shmuyim on this fellow. Because if this fellow is from one of these Ethiopian Jews who practices Teiras HaKaroyim, the Judaism of the Karites, well, the Talmud and Halacha does not have much compassion for Karites, for Karoyim. The halacha is Maridim Malif. These people were Rishonim of the worst order. They rejected Parashah Malpeh, they rejected the whole Talmud, they rejected everything. We don't mitzvah opinion shlim on these guys. They're Rishonim. So then the Radbaz suggests that even though, in effect, they keep the same religion as the Karoyim, but these Ethiopian Jews are not Karoyim. Why? Because a Karoi is a person who knows about Parashah Malpeh, heard about Parashah Malpeh, rejected Parashah Malpeh, and is a Russia. These fellows, he says, they don't know any better. He says, what are you going to do? You have been separated from mainstream Judaism for 1,000 years. Remember, if they went there in the times of Yerom and Nevat, they have no Talmud, they have no printing. What are they supposed to do? So who told them what to do? The Chacham, the Rav, the whatever. So what happened when he died? So there was no yeshivas, there was no contact. So what happened to them is they forgot their Yiddishkeit. So what is the only thing they have? They have a Chumash. That's all they have. So we're not dealing
dealing over here with Karayim. We're not dealing with the Rishayim who rejected the oral tradition. We're dealing over here with Pineka Shenizbu. Amalachim is the first order, but not Rishayim. And therefore, if they are indeed Jews, and you're just Amalachim, therefore there is a mitzvah of mitzvah picking shvuyim, and you don't have an evidence, but you have in fact a mitzvah picking shvuyim. So here we see a progression. While initially in the Chelik Dalet, the Radbaz was mesupik that they may have a din in Karayim, the Chelik Zayin, he's already almost come to the conclusion that they're not Karayim. So they're Jews, and they're not Karayim. But then the Radbaz says something at the end of the tshuva that makes life extremely complicated. The Radbaz writes, listen to this. Avalim in Yuchsin, Anichai Sheshem Kiddushin Kiddushin, V'gitam Einem Ketichin Chazal, Shaharei Einem Yodim Klal, B'tiv Gitim V'Kiddushin. Hanira Lani Astaiti David Ben Zimra. Zok the Radbaz, yes, they're Jewish. And yes, they're nice Jews, ignorant Jews, but nice Jews. But Zok the Radbaz, you know what? They may be all mamzerim. Because if they're so ignorant that they don't know anything about personal care, then let me ask you something, how did they divorce their wives? You see, that's the thing that they remembered? That you have to have a get that has 12 lines, with 2 ksherim, with a Mesiras HaGet, from the hand of the husband. You think they remember Torah's Gittin? No, they don't remember Torah's Gittin. So how did they divorce? The parents says, how did they divorce? Like other societies, they just separated. They said goodbye. That was the divorce. The Sefer Oita Yisrael, that their ceremony for divorce was that they would go in the square, they would gather among people, and the rabbi would be there, the rabbi would be there, and they would separate public, and that would be the git. So the rabbi says, wait a minute, if they're Jewish, and their kiddushin is maybe a good kiddushin, but their get is no get, then we're dealing with a society that may be full of mamzerim. And therefore the Rabbah says, Avolini Yuchsin Anichai Shema Kiddushin Kiddushin V'Gittin and Gittin. Now what's interesting to note over here, and this is another very important point, this is the Rabbah's position in Chelik Zayin. But in that original tshuva in Chelik Dalet, the Rabbah also addresses the question of the kashrus of the yichus of the Ethiopian Jews. And there the Rabbah says, I have no problem with the yichus of Ethiopian Jews. Why, Dr. Rabbah? Because Dr. Rabbah, I have no problem with the yichus. Because what's the problem? They don't know how to make a get, but then they don't know how to make a kiddushin either, probably. For kiddushin, you have to have 8 ksherim. So who in Erlich Yidin over there in Ethiopia to be the 8 on the kiddushin? If there's no kiddushin, there's no mamzerim. So Dr. Abbas, maybe they forgot Teres Gittin. So if they forgot Teres Gittin, maybe the kiddushin, there wasn't a kiddushin in the first place either. So their kiddushin is no kiddushin, their get's no get. So they may have lived illicitly, but they're not mamzerim. But that's what the Rabbah says in Chelik Dalet. In Chelik Zayin, the Rabbah takes a much more severe approach. And the Rabbah says, I'm a chayshesh for them, I'm misupik about their kiddushin. So the Tzitz Eliezer, jumping a little ahead, the Tzitz Eliezer, in Chelik Yudei Siman Samach Vav, sums up all that comes out from a series of tshuvas. I only quoted you 2, but there are other tshuvas as well. And the Tzitz Eliezer sums up the position of the Rabbah. And the position of the Rabbah is as follows. Dr. Tzitz Eliezer. Number 1, the Rabbah holds that they're Shevet Don. Number two, the Radbaz holds that even though they act like Karoyim, but perhaps they do not have the din of Karoyim because they don't know any better. Number three, as a result of that, since they are Jewish, or at least they're Sophic Jewish, and therefore they're not Karoyim, we are Mukhir to be proud of them and to save them and to rescue them because they are perhaps Jewish and they're, if not, if they're not traditional Jews, but at least they're not Rishayim, they're not Karoyim. But, L'im Yuchsin Habu Kesofik Mamzerim. And then the Tzitzel, as it points out, that the Rabbas threw in another factor. And not only is there a question of whether they're Suffolk Jews, of Suffolk Mamzerim, but there is indeed a question of whether they're Suffolk Jews. Because the Rabbas writes over there that there's Keseder wars going back and forth between the tribes. They are Keseder capturing people left and right, both sides. What do you do with the captives? Eventually, the captives get intermarried. So we're dealing over here with a situation that they may have initially started out from Shevet Dan, and they may have been Jewish, but what's happened in the last 1,800 years? One has to assume that there has been a lot of intermarriage, so maybe you're not dealing over here with Jews at all. Then the Tzitz Eliezer points out the irony of the situation. The irony of the situation is, as the Tzitz Eliezer refers to it, is Kakanasam Hukilkalasam, which means their takanas do for their kilkal, which means, why should we rescue them? Why should we rescue them? Because they're probably Jewish. They may be Jewish. They're Sophic Jews. Oh, but if they're Jewish, then you have a problem with Mamzeris. Oh, so what do you want to tell me? There's no problem with Mamzeris because they're not Jewish? Well, they're not Jewish. Good to hate. It's been nice knowing you, but there's not much of a responsibility to them if they're not Jewish. So what would make the situation easier is that they're not Jewish. But they probably are Jewish. At least there's a suffix if they're Jewish. And if there's a suffix if they're Jewish, then it's a suffix about their kashrus. So the Radbaz leaves us with a couple definite answers, but a couple big question marks. Number one, they probably are from Shevet Dan. They do not have a din of Karoyim, but their yichus is a big question whether they're Mamzeir or not, and it's also a question as to whether they're Jewish. And in fact, we have a similar situation in Halach, and that is with the Karoyim. The Karoyim started out centuries ago as being Jewish, but Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, nonetheless the person of Reb Chaim Soloveitchik, asked him that the Karoyim today have a din of Sophic Goyim, because they were so isolated, and they intermarried to such an extent, and their Geirus is no Geirus, so that they have a din of Sophic Goyim. So that could in fact be the situation with the Ethiopian Jews, because you have this question about intermarriage. But be that as it may, Rabbi Shai, it has been, jumping now from the 16th century in the Rabbans to the 19th century, it has been the opinion of the Gedolei HaPoskim going back for the last 150 years to treat Ethiopian Jews as at least Sophic Eden. Which means that we accept the edus of the Rabbi Ovadia, the Elder Hadani, and we treat them as Jews. And as such, there have been repeated movements over the years led by very distinguished Rabbanim to do something on behalf of Ethiopian Jewry. Rav Nosson Adler, the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer, wrote to a Rav Chazan, who was a Rav in Mitzrayim, and he asked him to do something on behalf of the Ethiopian Jews. He was cool to the suggestion because he was of the opinion that they are no better than Karoim and you don't have to do anything with them. In 1864, Rabbi Zviel Hildesheimer brought up this question again, and he wrote a very strong letter that the Jews have a responsibility to do something on behalf of Ethiopian Jewry because they hold themselves to be Jews, and we have riots that they stem from Sheva God, and therefore we have to do something for them. And this has been, as I said, over the last 150 years, this has been the normative Jewish approach to treat the Ethiopian people as Jews, at least Suffolk Jews. Moving up to more modern times, Rav Herzog, who was the chief rabbi of Palestine, wrote a letter in which effect he said the same thing. He was writing over here to the Jewish agency, Techazachni Yadechem, v'tasena tashua l'kayres ha'palashim l'nikay Yisrael v'mitzvah rabba lazer l'avayis ha'kodesh. Again, he, however, is ma'ira the shaila that even though they are, in fact, we have to treat them as Jews, and therefore as Jews we have to rescue them, etc. But there is this question about their yichus, because perhaps they are Suffolk Mamzerim. So to move to more modern times, I just want to end with the opinion of two Gedolei HaPoskim. Rav Avadi Yosef Shlita, who was at the time of the first wave of Ethiopian Jews, the Rav HaRashi Yisrael, writes, L'chein basi l'maskana shehapalashim ein tzeatzai shevet shivtei Yisrael shehidlimu l'kush ve'ein kol safek shehagayim shekavu shehem yishevet dan chaku v'darshu v'higiya l'maskana zu al pi einius v'rayas mehemes b'yaser. That I agree with the opinion of the earlier opinions that they are in fact Jews who stem from Shevet Dan and have to be treated as Jews. I have also researched this, and it is my opinion as well that they are in fact Jewish. And therefore, they're interested in the kind of whole Torah Shabbat Shabbat Peh, והחלטתי לפי אני הסדייתי הפלשים הם יהודים שחייבים להצילם מתאימה ומהסבללוס ולהוקיש עלייתם ארצה. And therefore, it is my opinion that we must make every effort to save them because they have the din of Jews or the Suffolk Jews, and therefore we have to rescue them. ולחנכם ברוח תרסן הקדושה ולשכבם בבניין ארצנו הקדושה ושבו בנים לגבולם. Now, in that letter, Rav Ovadia Yosef does not comment in the letter about whether they have to undergo at least misafek a geirus ceremony to convert. Maybe they're not Jewish. Nor does Rav Ovadia Yosef comment about the question about whether there's a chashash of Suffolk Mamzeris. This article, in which I saw this letter printed, this Rav Waldman says that he's made that Rav Ovadia Yosef halacha l'maisa l'gayim l'chumra ma'masafek and l'daita in chalakshes l'manzeres shekein kiddushein einon al pi halacha. But he writes that Rav Ovadia Yosef said they must undergo a geirus left on a question that they may not be Jewish, but Rav Ovadia Yosef was of the opinion that there's no question about their yichus, because just like their gittin was no gittin, their kiddushin was no kiddushin either. So they're kosher heathen that must undergo a geirus misafek. I have a bacher by me in the yeshiva who learned by Rav Ovadia Yosef, who's a very big fan of Rav Ovadia Yosef, and he says he heard from Rav Ovadia Yosef personally that Rav Ovadia Yosef Paskin that they do not have to undergo geirus. I don't know what, I have this suffix, he writes that he said that they do. This bacher tells me that that was not his opinion. Be that as it may, and with this we will end, and that is the opinion of Rav Moshe Feinstein Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Rav Moshe Feinstein was asked this shaila, again together with the first wave of the Ethiopians. Rav Moshe Paskins, he brings the Rabaz. Rav Moshe says as follows: Ladina einon b'yisur mamzeris. Rav Moshe holds that there is no question about the yichus. There is not a question of mamzeris. Any Jew can marry them because Rav Moshe says we have all these sfeikus about whether the Kedushin was Kedushin, and he lists some of the sfeikus that were bothered by the Rabbah. At any rate, Rav Moshe says there is no Safek Mamzerish. As to the question, Ulagavi Yahadusam, as to whether they Yidden at all, so Rav Moshe writes that even if they're only Suffolk Yidden, even if it's a Suffolk about their Yiddishkeit, but the halacha is you have to save a Suffolk Jew. The halacha is, for instance, a pile of rocks falls on a guy on Shabbos. You don't know whether he's there, whether he's not there. You don't know whether he's alive, whether he's not alive. We know the clause, Suffolk Pikuach Nefashis, when it comes to Shalah Pikuach Nefashis, you've got to save the person. So Rav Moshe says, it stands to reason that even if you don't know whether he's a Jew, whether he's not a Jew, it's still a Suffolk Pikuach Nefashis. And then Rav Moshe says something that only Rav Moshe could say. The Gam Yesh Leda. Listen to this. The Gam Yesh Leda Sha'afilu in Ladina Einam Yehudim. Zok Rav Moshe, even if Lamaisa they're not Jewish. Mikomakom Me'acher Shechayshvin Shehem Yehudim U'Moshe Nashim Al Yahadusam Muchuyavim La'atzilam. That since they held they were Jewish, and they have been discriminated and persecuted against for all these times because they held they were Jews, a person that holds himself to be a Jew and is Moshe Nefesh to be a Jew, even if there's a Judaism that is foreign to our brand of Judaism, over a Hatzach v'ayid, Zok Rav Moshe, you're required to save him, even if Ali B'Rehan is, he's not a Jew. That is a gewaltige Chiddush. That let them not be Jewish al pi halacha. But they have been there pining away for 1,800 years thinking that they're Jewish and being persecuted as Jews. See, that's the new definition of who is a Jew. If you're persecuted as a Jew, you're a Jew. At least look at me this. At least that you would require to save them. So therefore, that's Rav Moshe's opinion, which he wrote in a letter. And the maskana is that they have a din of Suffolk Jews, that we have to save them. As to their yichus, Rav Moshe is of the opinion that they are kosher yidden because there are so many seikus about the original kedushin, etc. Since we're being a little different tonight already, so when we finish tonight, we'll be again somewhat different. I'm not going to say a words tonight. I'd just like to read over from the Chofetz Chaim, the Tzadik L'Bracha. As we mentioned last week, the Chofetz Chaim, besides everything else, is a very prolific author. And one of the Sfarim that the Chofetz Chaim wrote, or a part of one of the Sfarim, is a thing called the Shar HaSchira, in which the Chofetz Chaim speaks about the types of averos that people should be very careful that they shouldn't be involved in. And he devotes over here 2 or 3 prakim to an Isser Chomer Ma'id, and that is the Isser of Machlekes. And the Chofetz Chaim writes that Machlekes is one of the most destructive, literally and physically destructive averos that a person can be engaged in. The Chofetz Chaim writes, Ach ati geizem amor bekitzim nimrutz. And he quotes a medrash in this week's parasha. Amar Abrachya kama kosher hamachlekes. The aveira of machlekes, of getting into fights with people and persisting in these fights. Yishebes mishamayla in an ancient ella michaf shana ulamala. Ubes mishamata miyid gimel shana. Umala. How you see how destructive machlekes is. That the Beis Din Shalmalim normally only punishes somebody, the heavenly court only punishes people from the age of 20 and above. And we know that the Beis Din Shalmata punishes even from bar mitzvah. U'machlekes shal kairach tinoikes ben yaiman nivru b'shol tachlis shenemar v'neshayim v'tadneim v'tapam. The yard lehayim v'chol asher la'em chayim shayla. Machlokes is the Aveira that destroys not only a person, not only his family, but Machlokes is the Aveira that destroys even a person's small children. You know, we have many times discussed the concept of Maisa Avei Siman Labanim, and always in a positive light. Tonight we're going to see a different sort of aspect to Maisa Avei Siman Labanim. We know, for instance, that the Avraham Avinu is the Av of the Chesed. When you want to know the paradigm of what it means to be a Baal Chesed, you look at our Avraham Avinu. The paradigm of Baalei Machlokes are Dosan and Avira. If you want to know what Machlokes can do to people, you look at Dosan and Avira. They are the heritage of Machlokes stems from Dosan and Avira. As the Chafetz Chaim refers to them, they are the Avihem. They are the Maisa Avei Siman Labanim in the worst possible way of Baalei Machlokes. The Chafetz Chaim writes, Vayid ba'achi ve'echa gaido karach ha'yetzer sheyesh b'midas hanitzachim kisher nichnas b'eimach ha'machlokes. The Chafetz Chaim writes, and this is so true, that besides all the other Aveiros that are associated with Machlokes, you know, Lashon Hara and Kina and Sinna, and embarrassing people publicly, besides everything else. But you know what Machlokes always evolves to or degenerates into? It degenerates into, I'm going to win this thing. And when people get driven by this Yetzer Hara called, I've got to win, then it has the most destructive of outcomes. And the Chafetz Chaim writes that isn't it a peril? Isn't it amazing if someone would come and they would do the slightest thing to your child, they would hurt your child in the slightest possible way, you would stop at nothing to prevent this person from hurting your child. And if a person is aware, when he goes into a machlokes, that we have a Kabbalah, that machlokes affects a person's children, that you yourself could be endangering your own child, wouldn't any person with 2 cents of seichel in his head say, stop? Okay, you know, fine, for me it's one thing, but I'm not going to go kill my children. But the Yetzer Hara of Machlokes becomes such that nothing else matters, except I've got to make my point. Last year, many of you may have seen this, during the 9 days they showed a video in different communities all across the United States about the Averos of Sinas Chinam and Machlokes. Rabbi Beryl Wine appeared on that video, and he said over a Maisa, and this is a mind-boggling Maisa. He says over a Maisa with the Chafetz Chaim, that there were 2 people that got involved in some kind of machlokes. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it got ugly and messy. And then mysteriously, the 2 parties, the 2 antagonists, their children started dying. Just like the way it's supposed to happen. Just like it happened by Dosan Vavira. That's the end game of machlokes. It's going to affect your children. So the Chafetz Chaim, the Chvayda Uvatzmai, goes to one of the Baalei Machlokes, and he says, don't you think it's time to stop? It's affecting your children. Rabbi Wein says over in the name of the Chavetz Chaim that the man answered him as follows: the Zel L'Shainai. Ich will mekabre zei alle, aber ich will eisfir. I will bury them all, but I'm gonna win. That's the kayach of machlokes. That a man can say he's ready to bury his children, but he's gonna win. And that's the kayach of machlokes. That you become so preoccupied, so obsessed, that nothing else matters other than to win. And new touch in winning is everything. And that's the limud of Parshas Kairach. When we read Parshas Kairach, and we read that Dosam Avir with his children were all swallowed up. This is the Maisa Avay Simon Rabbanim. Some of us can claim that we are the Bnei Avram, Yitzchak, V'Yankiv. All of us can claim that. The question is, do you also want to be considered Mibnei Dasan V'Avira? Is that part of your ancestry? And if it is, the price one pays for having that in his heritage is Rahman al-Islam, that takes one down together, Rahman al-Islam, with his own children. For other tapes by Rabbi Frand, or for additional information, please contact the Yad Yechiel Foundation. That's Post Office Box 511, Owens Mills, Maryland, 211.